Episode 1 of Human Vapor begins at the JNT network where a package delivery arrives. Chief reporter Kyoko Kono is late for a live interview, and before she heads in, she calms herself down. The interview is with a biomass power generation expert, Emeritus Kyuko Sano. He talks about using city waste to generate power, when suddenly tendrils of smoke show up, snake around the room, and rush into his body, and eventually he explodes. We then cut to a restaurant. The owner is rude to his staff, and he happens to be an immigrant as well. A customer, Kenji Okamoto, stands up for the staff and beats up the owner. It turns out Kenji is a cop on suspension for the last 3 months. However, the chief brings him back for the smoke murder. Now, Kenji knows Kyoko and the chief disapproves of her, and during the questioning it's tense but rather familiar. We also learn that Kyoko got promoted while Kenji got suspended due to an incident. Now the JNT staff find the package delivery, and Kyoko, who's quite the risk taker, investigates and finds a QR code. Now this code shows a video of the murderer. He shares that he met Sano 27 years ago, and he'll hold a press conference at Bunko Ramen to explain everything and his next move. He sent the video to every network, and soon it's plastered everywhere. The cops have no leads. The cause of Sano's death was the lungs exploding, and there are chemical burns on them too. Now after the debrief, Kenji meets with the Superintendent General, who happens to be a family friend. He worries that Kenji is all alone and tries to set him up with women. We also learn that Kenji's dad was a good cop, but not particularly good as a dad or a husband. Now before he leaves, the Superintendent General claims he lifted his suspension because this is Kenji's chance to prove that he's moved on from the Kyoko incident. We then cut to a flashback to 5 years ago, where Kyoko wants to do a feature on the Tokyo police, and Chief puts her with Kenji. We don't see much else other than that, because we cut back to the present, where Kenji texts Kyoko warning her of possible chemical terrorism and warning her against going to the press conference. The old texts between them show that he wanted answers from her, but she ghosted him. And on the day of the press conference, a huge crowd gathers despite warnings of the chemical terrorism. While Kenji is scanning the place, he sees Kyoko. Now flashback then shows them at a stakeout, and since she has insomnia, he teaches her how to calm down. They bond over a love song, and he's glad when she finally falls asleep. Back in the present, the murderer never shows. Bored, the crowd thins out, and the restaurant owner makes a scene that he's losing money. Kyoko finds out that Bunko Ramen originally was at a different location, so she texts Kenji and reaches that old location first. As expected, she finds the murderer and starts to interview him. It turns out he's a victim who wants revenge, and he mentions something called the White Center, which is a group of powerful people who control society and are responsible for all kinds of crimes. He knows they'll never apologise, and so plans to kill them all. He signs off as the Human Vapor. And when the cops show up, he turns into smoke and attacks. Bullets do nothing to him, and soon he disappears. Now an old man watches Kyoko's interview with the Human Vapor and looks scared, bringing the first episode to an end. Episode 2 of Human Vapor begins with the old man Obata having a nightmare. He was the director of White Center and is plagued by the dead children he used to look after. Now at present he runs a youth group, housing orphans, poor children and the homeless. He looks shocked on seeing the news of the Human Vapor. And meanwhile Kenji watches as his partner Abe interrogates Kyoko for finding the killer's location. It's at this point where we see a 4-month-old flashback. Kenji questions a former Yakuza member, Mori, for drugging and killing a minor. With no evidence, Mori leaves. An upset Kenji gets drunk and rambles to Kyoko about this, who happens to be his girlfriend at the time, and how there's no justice. One night Kenji is waiting to propose, but she never shows up. Instead, he sees on the news where Kyoko jumps Mori and grills him about his victim. He winds up committing suicide, and she sees it as an acceptance of guilt. Now, Kenji is suspended for leaking active investigation information to Kyoko. Back in the present, Kyoko is let go. Kenji tells her to stop getting in the way of investigations. Now, forensics report no DNA on the Human Vapor's clothes, but there is a button with the crest of the Yakuza, Fujishiro. Kenji notes that the Human Vapor also wore his pocket square the same way as Sano. Maybe the button is a clue to his next target? Anyway, JNT's reporter, Tatsuya, gets an email from the retired reporter, Shinichi Kato, who had looked into the White Center. Now, White Center was a social welfare facility that ran 27 years ago. As we know, it housed orphans and homeless adults. In 1999, Yamanashi hosted the prestigious Children of the World Peace Expo. The same year, a meteorite happened to fall there. Sano headed the safety committee and lied that the debris was safe, and White Center's residents were used as manual labour to clean up the toxic meteorite site. Okato wasn't allowed to write about it and was ordered to focus on the expo instead. Obata disappeared not long after the expo and changed his name. And we see that Obata is haunted by the guilt around this. He recalls another memory where a Yakuza driver brings back the burnt corpses of the manual labourers. Elsewhere, the J&T director warns Kyoko that she needs irrefutable proof to back her story up, or she'll make enemies for tarnishing the expo's memory. As for Kenji, he stakes out Fujishiro's HQ. He spots Palm, the immigrant now working as a delivery guy, and learns that the thugs are freaking out about the human vapor. Now Kyoko finds Obata and calls him, but he lies that she has the wrong number. One of Obata's kids, Shota, covers for a rich popular kid who stole some money and lets an innocent loner kid take the fall for it. Shota feels guilty and comes clean to Obata, and Obata tells him it'll haunt him that he'll be no better than the bullies. It's better to tell the truth. So Obata takes his own advice and decides to hand over his White Center journal to Kyoko. It records all the labourers that have gone missing, and one of those labourers, Ren Susumida, looks like the human vapor. Now Obata sets up a meeting with Kyoko, and before he leaves, a scared Shota confesses that he can't tell the truth. Obata assures him that being brave isn't easy and to take his time. On the way to meet Obata, Kyoko and Tatsuya are attacked by the Fujishiro thugs who are looking for something. Kenji shows up and saves the reporters. Now Obata is driving to Kyoko when he stops to help a man with an eye patch, whose car has broken down. Now Kyoko calls, warning him that he's in danger. Obata isn't afraid though, citing he has much to repent for. He reveals that a White Center was taken over by the Mufu, who killed the old director and replaced him with Obata. The Mufu used the residents as human fuel, sacrifices in the name of progress. Right then, the eye patch man stabs Obata and takes his things. Kyoko is shocked, while Kenji doesn't look all that surprised. Obata thinks of Shota as he passes away. Episode 3 of Human Vapor begins with the cops finding Obata's dead body. Kyoko wants to know what's going on, but Abe points out that it's against protocol to share intel with reporters. Kyoko is upset and storms off. And Kenji updates the chief about everything he's learned regarding the White Center from Kyoko. A CCTV identifies the eye patch killer, Shinzo Yamazaki, a member of the Fujishiro Yakuza. Shinzo is ordered to send digital copies and burn the journal. But we see that the Fujishiro are ordered around by someone much more powerful than them, which is possibly the Mufu. Annoyed, the Fujishiro boss wants 300 million in exchange for destroying Obata's journal. The cops then find Shinzo's car. Nearby, he beats up a girl and steals her phone, and the cops notice the altercation and go after him. Meanwhile, Kyoko wonders how the Yakuza knew that she's meeting Obata. Tatsuya, a rookie hacker, figures that her phone is bugged. She recalls how Yoshida, one of the cops, checked her phone when she was interrogated for finding the vapor's location. In an abandoned building, Shinzo quickly takes a video of the journal pages, sends it to the Yakuza, and then burns that very same journal. Yoshida finds him first and kills him for sending a copy to the Yakuza. It seems that Yoshida works for the mysterious higher-ups, aka the Mufu. When the other cops arrive, Yoshida claims the kill was self-defense, and Kyoko tells Kenji about Yoshida bugging her phone, but he doesn't believe her. Since the journal is destroyed, he begs her to drop the story. Obviously, the JNT network continues with their expansive coverage of the human vapor. It gets to the point that Kirishima, a governor candidate, blames them for fearmongering and hurting her chances. As for Kyoko, she sets up surveillance of Fujishiro's gambling den from the opposite building. Elsewhere, the cops interrogate the thugs who had attacked Kyoko. They were ordered by the Yakuza to take the journal from her if she had it. It's enough to get a search warrant for the gambling den. and at the same time, the human Vapor shows up. He easily takes down the Yakuza as they try to escape. And Kyoko follows the boss's car as the human Vapor chases it, and the cops arrive too and join the chase. The Vapor can't get through the bulletproof glass of the boss's car though, but the reprieve is short as he crashes the car, killing the Fujishiro boss outright. Kyoko steals his phone, and the cops show too late. Where the Vapor's clothes are left behind, there also happens to be a police badge with the face and name scratched out. We then cut to two struggling YouTubers spotting the human Vapor in a music video. Episode 4 of Human Vapor begins with the struggling YouTubers and siblings Fujita and Kaho trying to make it big. And Fujita's favourite director, Goro, had directed a low-budget music video of a small-time idol group called Dream Succubus. Fujita accidentally finds it and spots the Vapor in one of the background shots. He shares his revelation on YouTube but gets no traction, much to his disappointment. But user Dada Show offers to pay $1 million if they get the location of said music video. Now Fujita pretends to apply to be Goro's apprentice, and both are eccentric and Fujita gets close to Goro. He soon learns that the group's manager, Kenta, had booked the location, and Goro's secretary is Mimi, a former member of the group. The siblings follow her and she leads them to a bar where Kenta works as a host. It's now Kaho's turn for espionage, but she has a huge brown birthmark on her face, and it seems that she was bullied for it in the past, and so she never shows her face in public. She finally steals herself and goes in as a customer, where Kenta charms her by complimenting her looks. He ends up plying her with drinks, but she finally gets back on track. She lies as she's shooting a horror film and offers to hire him. She narrates the script and how it follows a group manager finding a haunted building. Kenta falls for it and reveals the location of the music video. It happens to be an abandoned factory in Katsushika. Our flashback shows that Mimi and Kenta like each other, but they aren't allowed to date. And while filming the music video, Mimi and Kenta see the Vapor. They're scared but keep it to themselves. Now present, Fujita wants to go to the site to confirm the intel, and emboldened by Kenta's praise, Kaho agrees to get in front of the camera for their next videos. At the factory, they find the Vapor's underground hideout. However, he is a statue. Right when Kaho is leaving Dada Show a voicemail, a telephone rings. It activates a recorder which plays Ellie My Love, the same song Kyoko and Kenji had bonded over. The song awakens the Vapor, and he then answers the call and is told that his next target is Saburo Otomo. The Vapor is in a trance as he doesn't even notice the siblings when he leaves. A while later, the news reports that Otomo, the Yakuza boss, is dead. Fujita decides to record the Vapor being mind controlled and get money from Dada Show. Kaho doesn't want to risk their luck but eventually gives in. They get their spy cams when the Vapor returns and becomes a statue again. In the middle of their setting up, someone else arrives and the siblings hide. Dada Show calls right then and reveals their hiding place, and it's here that we learn that this happens to be Kyoko. Episode 5 of Human Vapor begins with a flashback to 1999. The White Center residents are treated cruelly, and little Kyoko is one of them and takes a liking to Satsuki. One day the center demands volunteers for the meteorite cleanup with 5 times the normal wages. Delighted, Satsuki volunteers. On the night that Yakuza driver brings back the corpses, Kyoko sneaks out to welcome Satsuki. While the driver and Abata argue over what to do, Kyoko enters the back of the truck and is shocked to see everyone, including Satsuki, dead. The driver takes off to bury the dead, and Kyoko escapes when he is waylaid in town. She ends up at Bunko Ramen, where we see Ren before he was the human Vapor. He happens to be a regular at the restaurant and buys her food. He's friendly, chatty, and rather warm too. He requests Ellie My Love on the radio and introduces this song to Kyoko. At present, Kaho wants to run, but Fujita offers to listen to Kyoko's explanation in exchange for $2 million and the journal. The cops find Otomo's phone and notice that a video has been deleted. Yoshida claims Kyoko deleted it. Back to Kyoko, she indeed has a copy of the video of the journal and has printed it out. She shares it with the siblings and reveals that it doesn't actually implicate the perpetrators. It just has records of all the missing labourers and a mention of Mufu, Otomo the Yakuza boss, Police Superintendent General Sakamoto, and a mysterious Kai. And Kyoko promises to turn herself in once she identifies and kills everyone. Kaho refuses to help her unless she doles out justice the right way, On the way home, Kyoko is about to send Ren the kill order for Sakamoto, but hesitates. Kenji shows up and accuses her of deleting the video, and she insists that she didn't delete it and even gives him a copy. She tells him of Sakamoto's involvement and asks if he can arrest his mentor. Back home, Vegeta tries to convince Kaho to take Kyoko's deal for the money. When she refuses, he lies to her and visits Ren on his own. Meanwhile, Kenji and Kyoko show up at Sakamoto's and demand answers. Sakamoto insists that everything he did was for the good of the country. They saved 200,000 people by stopping the spread of the toxins. Kyoko has no sympathy for him and deduces that he is Ren's next target unless he reveals who Kai is. Sakamoto is afraid and Kenji is disappointed in him. However, Vegeta activates Ren and orders him to record a video. In it, Ren threatens to kill Sakamoto unless he confesses and reveals his co-conspirators. Vegeta thinks of Kaho but uploads the video anyway. On Kai's behalf, Yoshida gives an order to Otomo's son, Riki. Riki threatens to kill Yoshida, but the cop claims they are like the Hydra. They can never be killed. The two then make a deal. If Yoshida can hit a snake's eye in bowling, Riki will follow the order. Yoshida succeeds, much to Riki's awe and dismay. Back to the investigation. Unaware of Vegeta's video, Kenji begs Kyoko to drop the story and let him figure out Sakamoto since he's family. Kyoko sees the parallels with her and Ren and wants to tell Kenji everything, but she changes her mind. Surprisingly, Sakamoto gives in to Ren's demand and tells Kenji that he will hold a press conference and come clean. Before he hangs up, he reveals that he is also responsible for the death of Kenji's dad, confusing Kenji. Yoshida offers to drive Sakamoto to the press conference and kills him in the car. He reports it as a suicide and Kenji is heartbroken. And at the same time, Vegeta's video gets 1.5 million views. Kyoko is confused and calls Kaho, who happens to be asleep. Upon waking up, instead of answering the phone, Kaho checks on a noise outside her apartment. It turns out to be Riki and his thugs. Episode 6 of Human Vapor begins with a flashback to 1999. Ren volunteers for the meteorite cleanup site, and while the supervisors have proper hazmat suits, the labourers are only given a flimsy face mask. Now Mufuu wants to blow up the site and bury the meteorite deep underground. Several labourers have tried to take the bombs to the site and died in doing so. They're promised good money and Ren agrees to do it for Kyoko. Underground, we see that the toxins cause chemical burns. Ren makes it and connects the bomb, but he starts turning into smoke. He rushes out and screams for help, but the supervisors are completely nonchalant and don't care. Obata tries to stop Sano, but the professor detonates the bomb, and in the explosion, Ren disappears. Now present, the Yakuza tie up Kaho. Vegeta returns home to Chaos, while Riki threatens Kaho and Vegeta tells him all about the human vapor. Meanwhile, Kenji accuses Yoshida of killing Sakamoto. The chief warns Kenji not to cross the line and he storms off, but Abe notices blood on Yoshida's sleeve. Recalling Sakamoto's words, Kenji looks into his father, Assistant Inspector Shinya Akamoto. Now flashback shows Shinya investigating the White Center, and Sakamoto tells him to stop but he refuses. It then cuts to his death and Sakamoto claims he was killed in action. Now back in the present again, Kenji finds Shinya's notes on the White Center, and one of the Yakuza members involved is Mori. Kenji looks into Mori's case file, which reports chemical burns in his lungs. This means he didn't commit suicide, but was actually killed by the vapor, on Kyoko's orders. But why? Well, in 1999, Mori was charged with assaulting the Bunko Ramen manager. Now elsewhere, Kyoko visits Chieko, Sakamoto's widow, and tells her about Mufuu killing her husband. In a shocking turn of events, Chieko reveals that Mufuu is the name of the band Sakamoto had formed in school with his friends Otomo and Kai. Kai is none other than Takeshi Miura, the current Tokyo governor. We see a pamphlet with his re-election campaign motto, "Reform without waste." Kyoko instantly sends her order to kill Miura, but it's too late. Riki shows up and stops the song, because of which Ren is unable to wake up. Miura arrives and warns the siblings not to step above their station, and he gets Vegeta to show how to control Ren and then orders him to kill the siblings. The siblings make a run for it, and Vegeta throws Kaho in the river and douses himself with gasoline. When Ren surrounds Vegeta, he sets himself on fire. However, it doesn't seem to kill Ren as he starts reforming. Back to Kenji, he questions Bunko Ramen's current manager, who doesn't know much as he's just the owner's son. There's a wall full of Polaroids of old customers, and Kenji goes through all of them and spots Kyoko and Ren. She shows up and wishes she could have been the one to tell him the truth. Right then, the news reports that Kyoko is the Vapor's accomplice. She asks Kenji to arrest him, but he grabs her and makes her run for it, bringing the episode to an end. Episode 7 of Human Vapor begins with Kyoko and Kenji hiding in a motel. Governor Miura announces that Vegeta is the next murder victim and Kyoko is working with the Vapor. He makes a fear-mongering speech about how it's dangerous and everyone needs to stay indoors. Now, Kirishima is leading the re-election polls, but because of the panic, the people want someone familiar and Miura has quickly climbed up the rankings. Back to our couple, Kyoko tells Kenji everything. A flashback interspersed here shows Ren taking in little Kyoko. He teaches her how to make domino traps like the one in his hideout. He also wants to know her wish and pretends to be a radio jockey holding a mic. This is how Vapor Ren is as well. When he wakes up, he holds a mic waiting to hear his master's wish. One day, Kyoko's abusive mother finds her. It turns out she is dating Mori, the Yakuza driver at White Center. She had seen Kyoko as a burden and dropped her at White Center. Kyoko's mother and Mori show up at Bunko Ramen and try to drag her back to the center. Ren puts up a fight and it turns physical, and the cops are called and Ren is seen as Kyoko's kidnapper. Nobata and Shinya show up and make a deal, and Ren gets to keep Kyoko as long as he volunteers for the meteorite cleanup. Once Kyoko learns of this deal, Ren has already left. She gets the Bunko Ramen manager to take her to the site, and she tries to warn Ren, but it's too late. She sees as he turns into smoke and disappears. Back in the present, Kyoko remembers that Shinya had been kind, the only one who had asked her what she wanted. Kenji is glad she told him. The next day, the motel owner calls the cops, but Kenji spots him from the window and escapes with Kyoko. Kyoko contacts Kaho, who apologises for everything and tells her about Miura taking control of Ren. On the way to Kaho, Kyoko tells Kenji how she reconnected with Ren. This then paves way for a flashback to 6 years ago. The warehouse near the factory is where Ren and Kyoko lived. It has now been abandoned and is scaring the neighbours. Kyoko offers to look into it, and she finds the Vapor and follows it underground. She realises it is Ren once he turns into a statue. She buys the place and cleans it up. Around the same time, she meets Kenji. She decides to move on and live with him, and when he complains about Mori escaping justice, she recognises the Yakuza. She also spots the engagement ring in Kenji's bag. She goes to Ren's underground hideout and plays Ellie My Love. She talks to Ren's statue as she doesn't know what to do, and Ren awakens, but he isn't fully there. He mimics a radio jockey and asks for her wish. As a result, she ends up crying. Kyoko decides to confront Mori about the murdered miner, but he's rude and sexist. She goes back to Ren and wishes for him to kill Mori. Ren and Kyoko show up at his apartment and threaten him, and she demands answers about the White Center, but he only knows of Otomo and Sano. When he doesn't recognise Ren, she has Ren choke him to death. She finally gets a reality check and panics before setting it up as a suicide. Back in the present, Kyoko believes it is what Ren would have wanted. Kenji claims it's not Ren, just a creature with his face. Ren wouldn't want to kill people or want revenge. He doesn't sound like that sort of person. It's Kyoko who wants revenge. He wants to hold Miura accountable for his father's murder too, but he will do it the right way. They reach the rendezvous point and Kyoko sees Kaho, who has spotted Ren. Kyoko goes after Kaho, who follows Ren. He enters Miura's campaign office and then attacks, bringing the episode to an end. Episode 8 of Human Vapor begins with Miura ordering Ren to attack his campaign office, but not to hurt him too badly. He also has Ren kill homeless people. This garners sympathy for Miura, and people also rally behind him as they believe he can take down Ren. He ends up leading the election polls by a landslide. Akenji, Kyoko and Kaho figure out his plan as they head to Ren's hideout and play Vegeta's hidden camera, which has recorded Miura's kill orders for Ren. The Yakuza show up at the hideout to guard Ren, and Kenji acts as bait, allowing the women to escape unnoticed with the camera's memory card. The Yakuza grab Kenji and spot the empty camera, and Riki loops in Miura and gets to torturing Kenji to learn who has the memory card. Miura shows up and kills a Yakuza member for not getting answers, and he shares another story of how most humans like Kenji are just human fuel to run society smoothly. Kenji stalls before revealing Kyoko has the video and is about to air it. Miura orders Ren to go after her, and he also orders the Yakuza to kill Kenji before leaving. However, Kenji cuts through his ties and takes down the Yakuza. Kaho gives Miura's video to the governor candidate, Kirishima. Kirishima's staff is wary as there's not enough time to verify its authenticity. If it's fake, it will be career suicide. But Kirishima wants to take that gamble, so Kaho offers to upload it to her channel while Kirishima simply reposts it. As Kaho gets ready for the livestream, she doesn't hide her birthmark. Kyoko sends Tatsuya Obata's journal, and along with Kaho's livestream, the network shares its findings on White Center's exploitation and Miura's kill orders. Now at the moment, Miura is giving a speech at a rally, and he's charming unlike his true psychopathic self. But once Kaho and JNT go live, people start attacking Miura until he runs off. Akenji wants to go to Kyoko, but she asks him to stop Miura and get revenge for all of them while she stops Ren. He rushes to the precinct and demands they arrest Miura, and the chief warns Kenji, but the rest of the cops follow him as he heads out to arrest Miura. They don't find him in his office and start sweeping the place, and Yoshida tries to kill Kenji, but Abe attacks him. They get into a fight where Yoshida almost kills her, but ends up dying by accident. And Miura is on a call on the rooftop, begging for help as he has always been loyal. His superior forsakes him, and he realises he's human fuel as well. Kenji grabs him right as he jumps off the roof, and both are about to go down, but the chief and the rest save them in time and arrest Miura. Kyoko takes Kenji's car and lures Ren to the old J&T building. She also finds the engagement ring he had bought her and tears up. At the old J&T building, a chase ensues as Kyoko looks for something while Ren closes in on her. Once Miura is arrested, Kenji heads out to stop Kyoko. It turns out she's left a voicemail. There is no way to stop Ren, and she plans to use herself as bait and lock him in the building's vault. She finally finds the vault and locks them both inside, and as Ren is about to kill her, he recalls a memory. Little Kyoko's wish had been that she wanted Ren to be her dad. He starts getting more and more of his memories back. Akenji arrives and tries to open the vault, screaming for Kyoko. However, Ren and Kyoko explode and disappear. There's no blood, but all of Kyoko's belongings have been left behind, including the engagement ring. We then jump forward 1 year. The news reveals Kyoko's connection to Ren and their horrifying shared past. The cops think the two disappeared to avoid arrest, and J&T send Tatsuya to do a police feature for PR, and he's paired up with Abe. Kaho gets 10 million subscribers and keeps Vegeta's memory alive with her live streams. As for Kenji, he visits Kyoko's empty grave and leaves behind the engagement ring. He takes Ren's recorder home and plays Ellie My Love, and while he's dozing off, Kyoko's vapor shows up and she starts turning into a statue in his living room. Kenji feels off and gets up to investigate, bringing the final episode to a close. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.